What if I told you one of the most important relationship books ever written left out a piece of the conversation that could completely change how you view love? Millions of people have learned how to love their partner better, yet they still feel so empty themselves. Because knowing how to love someone else is powerful, but not knowing how to love yourself and your own love language, that's where burnout, resentment, and emotional exhaustion begins. Hello, friends, and welcome back to my channel here at True Reality Life, where we talk about the true realities of the life around us, beautiful, ugly, and everything in between. My name is Amber, your mental health and wellness podcast host, and today we're talking about the 5 love languages, what they are, what they look like in everyday life, and the crucial piece of the puzzle that is often overlooked. We will cover what each of the 5 love languages are and what they mean, what that looks like in marriage and within yourself. We'll then go over the missing piece, loving yourself and your own love language, and how ignoring this piece puts you at an emotional risk to depending on others for your own needs. I want you to understand what the love languages are and how they can strengthen your relationship without creating emotional dependency. So let's get straight into it. So, this concept first began with this very book called The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. It's a great read. I'd recommend it to anybody. You can find it on Amazon. I'll link it down below if you want a quick link to go purchase it. But I just want to go over the 5 love languages that he discovered and brought into the world so that we can get a better understanding of what this looks like. He focuses on how different people love differently and how understanding each other's love languages allow for a deeper connection within your marriage. He's helped millions of couples communicate better, feel more connected, and overall grow together. Today, I want to add an important layer to that conversation. While the book focuses on loving others well, and communicating your own needs, it leaves out such an important part of what to do when your own needs aren't met. When you've tried and your spouse says they're trying, but it may not be up to your standards and your love tank still feels empty. Months, maybe even years into trying these techniques. He doesn't explore what to do in those moments when you feel like your emotional needs aren't being met. That's where our conversation today begins. Okay, so what are the 5 love languages and what do they look like in practice in everyday life? So we're going to start off with a very popular one. It's words of affirmation. So this is a verbal expression, spoken words that overall make you feel good about yourself. So in marriage, this could look like reassurance, positive affirmations, saying things like, I love you, I'm so proud of you, you can do this, I'm grateful that you did XYZ, showing appreciation to that other person. And for yourself, it can be the same thing, words of affirmation. I am beautiful. I am doing a great job. I'm proud of you. It can go the same way. Speaking kindly to yourself. And I know with couples, you can leave notes and send cute text messages or things like that. But you could leave yourself a little note or write an affirmation on your mirror or leave sticky notes around to affirm yourself whenever you're feeling low. So, the emotional need with this one is to feel seen, to feel valued, and verbally affirmed. We'll touch on this in the next episode, but it's usually because you were lacking these affirmations as a child from external sources. So I want you to take a moment and think about, what do you say to yourself What is your self talk when you're completely alone? What does that look like? The next one is acts of service. So, helpful actions that you can do to alleviate stress from somebody else, to make their life easier. In a marriage, this looks like oftentimes doing chores, taking on responsibilities for yourself, doing dishes, paying the bills, filling up a gas tank, whatever that may look like within your marriage. And in the book, Gary Chapman talks about how you have to speak in your spouse, your partner's own dialect. So you may be busting your butt to mow the lawn and take out the trash and do the dishes and do all of these things. Yet, even if your spouse's love language is acts of service, that may not be filling their love tank, because what they really need from you is to help with the kids or to cook dinner or go grocery shopping. So you have to make sure that you're communicating with your partner to realize and recognize their needs, or else you're kind of just wasting your energy, unless you're doing it for yourself, which is the next point of acts of service toward yourself. It's doing similar things today to alleviate having to do it tomorrow, to intentionally do something for yourself so that you make your life easier for your future self. And I do want to bring up a very important point here, that oftentimes what's very important to people with the love language acts of service, it's making sure that you follow through with your commitments. Whether it's within your marriage, so you're following through on something you said you would do to your spouse, for your spouse, but also within yourself, building that self trust, saying, hey, I'm going to get this done today, and actually doing it. That will fill your love tank for yourself. So, the emotional need for this one is feeling supported and cared for through action. Saying, hey, I'm intentionally doing something for you so that you don't have to worry about it. So, what is one thing that you could do today to help your future self that you won't have to do tomorrow? Name one thing and do it. The third one is gift giving. And this doesn't have to mean that you're materialistic, it's that you value thoughtfulness. It's giving somebody a gift, whether it's an actual object, something symbolic, something very meaningful, to show that, hey, I was thinking about you whenever I bought this, made this, found this, whatever it may be. And sometimes, as Gary mentions in his book, it can just be yourself being present in moments that are rough and very low points of somebody's life, of just being there. Right? This is different from a one that we'll talk about later on of quality time, but it's just your presence and existence in those moments. That can be a gift. Saying that I'm here and I'm thinking about you. So in marriage, gift giving looks like the typical what you would think about could be flowers, a card, but even if you're financially struggling. An example he uses in the book is a husband gave a wife a twig. And you might think a twig, that's so dumb. Like he wasn't even thinking about it. He just picked up a twig and gave it to his wife. But that was probably one of the most thoughtful gifts he could have given her because of the symbolism behind it, what it meant to him, and the meaning he was thinking as he gifted that to her. So she holds on to that twig still because of the meaning that it held, not of the actual object that it was. And then loving yourself in this love language can look like leaving yourself a card. It can be purchasing something for yourself, giving yourself the time of day to take care of yourself, right? For me, I like to buy myself books or journals or things like that that make me feel good. Buy myself a new shirt, buy myself some new shoes, something like that. But it can even be, hey, you found a really cool rock and I'm going to keep it for myself. The emotional need for this love language is feeling remembered and intentionally thought of. Hey, this person went out of their way to buy or find or give me this gift because they were thinking about me. This next one is my favorite because it's my love language, is quality time, which is giving your partner or yourself undivided attention, proving that you're interested, that they're important to you, that you're present with them. The importance here is connection, not proximity. A lot of people get that confused. They say, well, I'm with her all day long. Or, hey, we were sitting there for hours watching TV and she's still saying I don't spend enough time with her. Just because you were sitting next to them on the couch does not mean you were spending quality time with them because you were distracted with a movie. Or were you sitting on your phone? It means spending time together without distractions. In marriage, this looks like maybe going on a date and actually talking, not just scrolling on your phone, going for a walk around the block and not bringing your phones and just talking with each other, catching up on the day, giving each other your undivided attention to say, I am here with you, I'm listening, and I love you. And for yourself, that looks like allowing yourself to rest, just existing with yourself, scheduling time for yourself where you're not trying to do anything. And I have a video about this that I actually focused solely on quality time. My video about self-love, but I focused so much on just quality time because at the time I made that, I was focused on my perspective because that's my love language. And that's what made me go down this path of discovering and learning more about the 5 love languages to discover which one appeals to you the best. So if this is your love language, I challenge you to schedule and literally put it on your schedule time for yourself, whether it's 10 minutes or 1 hour. Say, time for me. Don't schedule anything else. Don't do anything else. Don't try to accomplish anything. Literally just spend time with yourself. Get to know yourself just like you would with your spouse. The emotional need for this one is feeling prioritized, feeling important to somebody else. To know out of all of the things somebody could be doing right now, they're choosing to spend time with me. And for people who love quality time, that means the world. And last but definitely not least is physical touch, the one most people can relate to whenever you think about relationships, is literal physical touch. It's appealing to your natural senses of human connection, right? We were built with all of these nerve endings that can be pleasurable or painful, and this love language appeals to that. If it's in a loving way, it can communicate love and warmth, closeness, safety. So in a marriage, this can look like holding hands, hugging, kissing, even just the simple touch of a hand on the shoulder or a hand on the lower back as you're walking by to show, hey, I'm acknowledging your existence. And for yourself, I mean, you could hold your own hand, but a warm bath or hot shower or even those heating blankets have been a new go-to for everybody because it just feels so warm and cozy. Wearing comfortable clothing, something that appeals to your senses, is how you can love yourself in this way. The emotional need here is to feel secure, safe, and connected. as humans, we want to feel connected, whether it's to other people or to ourselves. So now that we've gone over the five love languages, including the words of affirmation, acts of service, gift giving, quality time, and physical touch, I want to go over what Gary Chapman's whole message was. He was communicating that out of these love languages, it's important to learn what your love language is and learn what your spouse's love language is. That way that you can intentionally communicate and love each other in their love language. He was emphasizing that most disagreements happen because we're not understanding each other's love language. We have this tendency to love each other in our own love language. So if my love language were acts of service, I would do and do and do things for my spouse, yet they still communicate to me that they don't feel loved, that they don't feel like I'm spending time with them. Yet I'm doing all of these things for them to show them that I love them. How frustrating is that? It's because their love language isn't the same as yours. And it might be easier if both of your love languages are the same, but that rarely ever happens. Usually, like they say, opposites attract, which means you have different love languages. So his whole point is to know your love language, know your spouse's, so that you can communicate in their love language and show to them, I am putting in effort and I see you and I love you. And the basis of all of these love languages is showing your partner that you're thinking about them over yourself, which means putting your own love language to the side so that you can love them better. And this can help drastically in a marriage because all we're wanting is to feel loved by our partner. But what he covers ever so slightly is what happens if I'm trying and putting my all into loving my partner in their love language, but they're not reciprocating that. They're not putting in the effort. My love tank is empty, yet I'm still trying to give and give and give from an empty tank, from an unfull cup. So what then? In his book, chapter 12 to be exact, he discusses a couple where she's loving him and wanting to try, and her husband is kind of done with the relationship. So he tells her to just keep trying and have faith in God that if you give him enough love, he will eventually reciprocate it. Which, yes, in that situation it worked. And in most situations it will work because people will respond to being loved, unconditionally loved. But what about you in the meantime? As you're giving and giving and giving to your partner, aren't you feeling more and more burnt out, unloved? How long are you supposed to do that for? 6 months, a year, several years? Hoping and waiting for them to reciprocate it, hoping for them to refill your cup that's been empty this whole time? Yet you're still expected to pour into them. And even if both of you are trying, right, which can resolve a lot of issues, if you're both trying and learning each other's love languages, it can drastically improve communication, prevent misunderstandings, deepen your emotional connection with each other, and help you just feel seen. As humans, we want to feel seen and loved and cared for. So if you're both putting in the effort to learn each other's love languages, that's beautiful. You're refilling each other's love tanks, and that's awesome. But even if you're both trying, it takes practice. So what do you do to refill your tank in the meantime? Whether your partner is absent and not trying, or they are trying, but it takes time to get good at it, to learn each other's love language, right? It's just like if somebody speaks an actual verbal different communication language, Spanish, French, whatever it may be, no matter how much they talk to you in that language, you're not going to understand it until you start learning their language. But you're not going to learn their language overnight. It takes practice. And it takes practice to learn love languages too. The book is also so focused on marriage, which, yes, this book is meant for people who are married. But I want to touch on, what about if you're single? What if you're not married or not dating? That's where a lot of us struggle with love, because we all want to feel loved, and we usually have family for that, but a lot of us don't. We can't rely on our family for love. But you know who you always have around you 24 hours of the day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year? Yourself. You always have yourself. So you have to learn how to refill your own cup. That is the missing piece to this whole conversation about love languages. Yes, it helps so many marriages, but that's only if you both are working so hard at it, and if you are patient, and if you are willing to keep trying. But what about the meantime? If you rely on other people to meet your own needs, it builds resentment. It puts pressure on them. It puts pressure on you to fulfill their needs. Love becomes an obligation. Oh, I need to do this for my partner for them to feel loved. But why is that your sole responsibility? Why are your needs their responsibility? This can cause emotional exhaustion and burnout. You cannot give to somebody else what you don't have for yourself, right? Like they say on airplanes, put your mask on first before helping somebody else. You cannot help somebody if your tank is empty. And if you want the faith perspective, like I mentioned in our last video, right? Scripture says, love your neighbor as yourself. But you can't love your neighbor if you don't even know how to love yourself, right? That whole verse assumes that you know how to love yourself first, and then you love your neighbor like that. In a different love language sometimes. But you have to refill your tank first. Self-love is your emotional responsibility. It is not being selfish to love yourself. It is not some trauma response of, oh, I can't rely on anybody in my life. Because yes, whenever you choose to get married, you are both choosing to love each other. You're choosing to rely on each other in ways that you will never rely on somebody else. But you both have to be coming from a place of love. You have to be looking at it where you're able to give freely. You're not doing it out of obligation. You're not doing it because the other person is demanding that from you. You're not doing it because, hey, if I don't do this, they're not doing good. They're not feeling loved. Yes, somebody loving you feels so good. You loving somebody else feels so good to them. And to you too. As humans, we'd love to give to other people. But you have to refill your tank first. You have to be in a good state of mind, emotionally and mentally, to want to give to somebody else, to have the energy to give to somebody else, right? When you give freely instead of desperately, you go into it without expectations. You're giving without expecting anything in return. This allows for less disappointment, right? Because say your love tank's empty and you're giving and you're giving and you're giving, and they're still not appreciating it. You would feel a little let down. Hey, man, I'm really trying here and it's still not enough. But if you were coming from a place of fullness, you would have no expectations. You would just keep trying because you don't need anything in return to be okay. Self-reliance is okay. It allows marriage to be a choice instead of an obligation. So many of us end up in relationships and we become codependent on this person for our well being. So if they hurt our feelings, or they don't talk to us the right way, or they don't text us back immediately, we start questioning their love for us, our self worth, our value, because we rely solely on them for our fulfillment. And that is just not a healthy way to go through life. Healthy love is mutual, it's freely given, it's a choice of connection. It's not forced, it's not demanding, it's not an obligation, it's not required for emotional survival. So now that we understand what the five love languages are, what they look like in practice, whether it's in your marriage or towards yourself, and why loving yourself in your own love language matters, there's only one question left to ask. What is your love language? And how can you show up for yourself in that love language today? Awareness is the starting point of growth. And that's why in our next episode, I want to talk about how you can discover what your primary love language is and how to refill your tank when it's empty without having to rely on anyone else. So if something in today's episode spoke to your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with somebody else who might benefit from it. Thank you for learning and growing with me here today. Make sure to take care of your mental health and wellness this week, and I'll see you guys next week. Love you guys. Bye.